Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu rasulillah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is your brother Gabriel Romaani, and welcome to another podcast, alhamdulillah, where we discuss real issues that are pertaining to the Muslim community around the world. As I've promised, and a lot of you have asked me to be a bit more engaging in discussing these issues with different brothers and sisters around the world to hear their opinions. Today, I have with me Sister Milahan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Surprise, surprise, everyone.
How are you, sister?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are
Okay,
you?
so alhamdulillah, I'm okay, inshallah. So before we start, just a few disclaimers. This is going to be a premiere. We're recording, but we're not going to edit anything. And we didn't really talk that much before, just to let the people know it's going to be quite organic. We just exchanged a few messages kind of around the general framework of this discussion, inshallah. So it will be an interview where I'm going to ask you some questions about, mashallah, yourself in the beginning, and then we'll get into some very important issues for the Muslim Ummah in the 21st century, mostly around some of the latest discussions with regard to feminism and masculinity and so on. Is that cool?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, inshallah. So, Sister Milan, just let's start, bismillah, with a bit of feedback and just a bit of history about yourself. Maybe when did you become Muslim? How? What's your background? I think you're in the States, right? You live in the States?
Yeah, United States.
MashaAllah. So take it over, inshallah. Give us a bit of a history of yourself, mashallah.
So the way in which I came about Islam was through Habib, the MMA fighter, and his exchange with Conor McGregor. And then also the older videos of Mufti Bank. And then I started reading the Quran, and I started getting a large community that was helping me to know what to read, how to understand it, and then it just started getting more and more intense with my knowledge and my drive to learn. And then before you know it, I'm here reading hadith and doing the channel here with you. So it's been quite an adventure.
MashaAllah. So what were you before Islam? Were you Christian? Were you...
So I was raised around Mormons and Christians, and then I went through a very nihilistic atheist phase, which is pretty common whenever somebody moves to California and has to be around liberals. So you become a little bit smug and a little bit, too much soy lattes. I'll put it like that. So
MashaAllah.
I went through a phase like that, and then I started looking at Buddhism because you start to crave some type of spirituality, and a lot of atheists do end up looking at Buddhism, which is interesting. And then I started to slowly crave something more, and I am a philosophy and political science major, so I was already kind of reading different texts about metaphysics and about our existence on this planet, and Islam just hit me in a whole new way. And alhamdulillah, that is part of my personality, I think, that led me towards Islam, but that's a little bit of my background.
Okay, mashallah. And I think you have a, mashallah, a YouTube channel that is like it's called Philosophers
Corner. Yeah.
Corner, mashallah. Okay. One of the things that I noticed going on your channel is that you've been reading some of the traditional books, like the hadith books and some of the, like proper knowledge books, translations that are available, mashallah. How'd you get into that? That's usually not so common for like your average convert to Islam.
Well, I really started being told, okay, you have to read tafsir by people on the channel, and I had never heard that word before.
Okay.
And then I realized there is an Islamic canon similar to how Catholics have a Catholic canon, and I had no idea. I know that there was a lot of Buddhist texts, and I would read those, and also because I read occult literature, and then I read Hinduism, but I had no idea there's a weak spot in the American education system concerning Islam, period.
Okay.
You may never come across any Islamic text at all, except for a comparative religions class that will take a couple sections on Jesus, and that's it. It's very limited. So I had no idea that all this stuff existed. And then I came across more people telling me, okay, you have to read hadiths. Bukhari. I kept hearing Bukhari. I was like, who is that? And then I bought the summary of Bukhari, but I also have the 9 volumes. And then I read the whole summary of Bukhari, and I just couldn't put it down. There's something about the way it's written in English that the flow, it's insane. It's really amazing. I think a lot of people who read a lot, we don't get surprised a lot. When you're a
Okay.
bibliophile, when you study a lot, because I'm also a state and national honor student, I'm a member of 3 honor societies. We read so
MashaAllah.
much that nothing impresses us anymore. It's
Okay.
like we read it, we understand it, but the hadith, I was like, I want to read more. And then
Hmm.
I said, okay, I'm going all in, and I bought all the hadiths that are from Darussalam publishers, so I know they're legit, and I've been going in on it. So
Okay.
yes, I started with the tafsir, and then people told me those are the traditional works. And I like hard books because online people can edit it. Fake websites,
Right.
they can add things in, but a real publisher that shows like a paper trail a little bit. I know people can make fake books, but this
Right.
was like certified, and you're like, okay, we can trust them. So that's how I kind of got started on it. And if the reason why so many Christians don't understand their own religion is because they don't read their canons. So I said, if
Okay.
I'm going to be a Muslim, I have to read the canonical works that
Mhm.
are authentic, and through that, learn how to be a better Muslim. You know, because a
MashaAllah.
lot of people, they read the Bible and they stop and they say, okay, how do I be a Christian now? And they look to modern celebrities to be Christians, and that's not how you're supposed to do it. And so when I saw the hadith, I was like, oh, there's things about wudu, there's things about purification. Oh, there's all these things here to show me what to do. And I just got really excited, and I realized, okay, I gotta keep reading this stuff. I gotta keep learning. So that's
Okay,
pretty much
mashallah.
how it started.
Okay, so you graduated with political science, mashallah. So we can safely say you're an intellectual, alhamdulillah. You love to read, which obviously I can attest to because I did go through your videos and I see that you've actually read those books and you even do some summaries on the videos online, mashallah. So, because it's very important to establish that and why that is. Because whatever's going to come next, the next questions, I need the audience to understand that I'm not pushing anything on you. I just need to understand your opinion about some of these issues that I've been talking about. And we're going to be honest, we exchanged a few messages, but we haven't really laid out any kind of, that we're going to say this and do that. So that's something that
Yeah.
Allah is a witness over
You didn't
things.
give me any talking points and force me to say, you have to say this. No, no,
Okay,
it's all
good.
genuine.
And why
It's
I'm
all my
saying
ideas.
that, is that you find again and again, when someone makes an intellectual argument or a point against something that others don't agree with, the first thing the people would appeal to is a fallacy. They try to discredit the person. They try to say, okay, you're not really knowledgeable, you don't really know anything, you haven't read, and so on. So I think it's important for us to understand. No one's saying you're a scholar, but you're someone who does their homework and you do your reading and you make up your own decisions and ideas. Is that safe to assume, inshallah?
Yes, yes, correct. Yes. Hold on.
All right, all right. So let us start then. I would like to start with one thing that is very important for me, that I believe it's something that is hurting the Muslim Ummah, and that is the loss of masculinity. Is there a problem that you see? I mean, you've talked to a lot of people online, you've looked at a lot of videos, we've reviewed a lot of content. Is there an issue with masculinity? Is it a global issue? Is it an issue just in California? I don't know. Or I mean, where is it? What do you see?
So this is a thing that I think the Muslim Ummah doesn't understand, but as someone who's uniquely in the most progressive capital of the world and who is around Silicon Valley, I think a lot of Muslims don't understand or want to look at how much control these apps have over what you see via propaganda. So yes, there is a systematic way of bringing down the male energy to bring in a sort of strange artificial intelligence matriarchal utopia. This sounds very strange to people who don't have to be in the classroom with these people, who
Mhm.
don't have to work with these people, and who don't have to live in the areas and talk to the people and see what they promote and why they promote it. I mean, just look at the fact about how even in the 3rd grade, these kids in the schools are coloring the trans flag. I mean, people can argue about the rainbow flag, but the trans flag teaching boys that they can become a eunuch, and take their parts off of their body at the age of 8 and 9, and you have no say to opt out of it, and the school does not ask your permission, and you have no option to go to another school, and they're trying to make homeschooling illegal. Yeah, it's a problem. And it's getting a little frustrating how people, they keep thinking, I look out my window, I don't see a 7-year-old drag queen boy, therefore it doesn't exist. It's no, it's going to arrive at your shores. So you might as well prepare now and be proactive instead of retroactive, because what they have unleashed here, you're not going to be able to fight it alone. And I understand some people think, oh well, Muslims will always be able to fight against it. But even if the Prophet, peace be upon him, had to battle the Quraysh, what makes you think you won't have to defend your boys from a sick ideology? And they say they don't feminize boys, but like others have spoken, the drugging of boys and girls who are hyper is something very popular in the United States. It's called Ritalin. And I've had teachers try to force that on my kid. My kid does karate and she's very calm. And they've set me in a room and they're like, okay, she can't focus this long. We want to put her on Ritalin. And I had to, professionally argue with 6 very determined staff members at this school. This is the 3rd grade. And then you see the boys that they're not getting exercise and they're not being taught strength. It's something very strange. And then even commercials on our TV, there was a commercial where a little boy plays with a Barbie doll. And some people will make fun of you. The liberal atheists will say, oh, boys can't play with Barbies. It's like, whoa, hold on. But if you show a soldier shooting a gun, they say that's dangerous. That's going to lead them to extremism. You can't show boys that. You can't have that on the TV. You can't have traditional masculine things. And everything that they show of masculinity has like a gangster vibe to it. So it's like, wait a minute, you're showing them the gangster version of men, and then you show them the Wolf of Wall Street version, and then the uber feminized version. You're confusing them. And then they censor religious content more heavily because they say it's more hate speech and bigoted and prehistoric. I don't think a lot of Muslims realize the extent to which they really dislike Islam. For now, they use them as a political tool for the refugee crisis to own certain Republicans. And this comes from Muslims not understanding American politics, the nuances of what's going on in this country. Because I live it, because I'm also a political science major, I'm right in the nucleus of what everyone is saying. And I participate every single day in those conversations. And it's a very heated, very serious future for our country. And what happens in America will affect the world, because this is where the tech companies are located. This is where these people, these billionaires in their mansions who get to say what you can say on Twitter, they affect your life. I mean, I'm banned on Twitter for hate speech against Cardi B because I said she wasn't a role model. I said she leads girls to drugs. She leads girls to a very dangerous
You
lifestyle.
got banned because of that?
Yes. And it was a very common, mellow tweet. They banned me permanently. And I said, okay, look at that. And then Facebook would constantly censor me. I mean, constantly, to the point I can't create events. I can't create anything. So I deleted my Facebook. It's going to be deleted. I think in 2 weeks is when they'll finally delete it, because it takes a month, they say.
Right.
But again, they're pushing regular people out of the conversation while amplifying their woke agenda. And these people are very anti-strength. I would go to class, I would be talking to them, and they say like microaggressions, you're too aggressive, you have to calm down. I would notice someone like the Palestinian students who are from Palestine. They're Muslims, they're very energetic. And the more liberal Berkeley type women would be like, Ali is too aggressive, he makes me feel unsafe, and he needs to calm down. And I'd be like, he's just talking to the teacher. And they would come after him. And I'm like, there's something there where it's like healthy energy that they get threatened by. And you cannot clap in class. You have to do and you're like, what? You can't even clap anymore? And they say like, no, clapping is aggressive. And I'm like, what? Like, and you're forced by these teachers. Like, these teachers, they hold your grade hostage, right? And a lot of people don't realize this. Yes, and it's strange. I mean, people don't realize it, and I know they think, okay, that's a Western problem. No, 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 no. This is globalization. This is the globalized digital era. What happens here will reach you because you're online. I'm sorry, and you say, okay, I won't go online.
Right.
Sorry, you're there. China has the social grid, right? They surveillance grid. They watch
Right.
everything you do. They're moving into the digital age. You're not going to be able to go backwards. You can escape and go live in the mountains like what I want to do in Alaska, but your kids, if they want to have a job, these universities, all American universities, are going to force them online, and they're going to push their agenda on you. You can't escape it. I go outside, there's the flags, there's the posters, it's on the buses. Turn on the TV, it's there. I go in the classroom, it's there. I go to my kid's school, it's there. You're not going to be able to escape it. And online, it's there. It's everywhere.
Are you aware that even Catholic schools raised the flag this year?
Oh yes, yes. I mean, in the liberal area here, they won't let the mass open, but the bars are open. And there's a protest sign on the churches that says, free the mass, we're essential. But the liberal atheists, the very progressives, have said no, but the bar is open. And the bar is diagonal from the cathedral. And you're like, what is going on here? So you can get drunk, but you can't go to mass, because of regulations. So people don't realize how much people want to erase religion. They don't get it. It's really amazing. Like here, when the riots happened, churches were spray painted. They were attacked, and even the saints, the Spanish saints, I know we don't believe in idolatry, but the Catholics have their statues. These activists, these militant atheists, they tore down those holy statues of that religion. It's only a matter of time before their gender bender, woke ideologies come for your children, and you're not going to be able to escape. And they're going to say, do you want a future? If you want to come to this university, you have to speak how we tell you to speak. You will take the classes we tell you to take. Do you want your degree? Do you want money? Do you want power? Do you want titles? Then bend the knee. And a lot of people will bend the knee. And that's how they're going to get you. And then when you got the education in that school and you go back to your country, you're going to change a little bit, and you're going to be bringing that stuff with you. And the internet is so powerful. It's blowing my mind how people think.
So are you saying that Muslims are going to study in the West, they get indoctrinated with these things, and they go back and take these ideologies back home to the Muslim countries?
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the reasons why I was like, I don't want to go to UC Berkeley when I was picking some schools was because I was like, this is groupthink. This is get in our group and conform. This isn't, debate ideas and you say what you say and I'll say what I say in the great American college campus where we could argue and have conversations. No, this is sit down. I have your grade in my hand. Say what I want you to say. Bend the knee, or else you're going to fail and your scholarship will get revoked. That is the power, right? You're at the will of your PhD teacher. People don't realize this. So yes, masculinity is being systematically targeted. The bars are open, but some gyms can't be open.
What do you say to those who would just say this is conspiracy theory? A lot of people right away they wipe it off with that.
I'd say come to San Francisco. I'll give you a tour. You think come on. Oh, I don't want to have to go to San Francisco. That's such a nuclear example. Sorry. San Francisco sets the mood for New York and the blue states of America. And if you're not familiar with how America is fighting with red states and blue states over a lot of the issues that are around masculinity and about family and taxes and school curriculum, I'm sorry you haven't paid attention. I pay attention at least 2 to 3 hours a day. I dedicate my time while I'm working out. I'm listening to people, and you don't see the content. You know why? Because the people are getting censored. All the people who speak out against it, who are trying to warn you, get banned, and that's intentional. Ever since
are you talking just even about like conservatives within the non-Muslim society, like the conservatives in
Yeah.
a political
Oh,
system.
yeah. Yeah, and then what's funny is that, look at the Muslims who live in the Muslim country, right? Look how the Christian conservatives, I'm not saying they're always right, but what I'm saying is look how the hammer has come
Yes.
down on them, this extreme hammer, complete decimation, and how they're ridiculed on CNN and MSNBC as backwards, prehistoric, you know, these oppressors. And you think that Islam, which is more conservative than Christianity, is somehow going to be immune.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy. If Islam is more conservative and the liberals hate the weak conservatives as Christians, and you think they're not going to come for you, good luck. And they're creating laws. You know, people say, "Oh, I won't give up my values." If you're in America and you're a school teacher, and you say, "I don't want to teach this," you're out of a job. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? Okay, I'll go to another school. Sorry, the same school says the same thing. Okay, I'll go work at a supermarket. Sorry, the supermarket's going to make you watch a 10-minute video, get a certification, and then you're going to have to conform and keep your mouth shut. And if you say anything, other coworkers will report you. You know, people have no idea like what is coming for them. Medication of boys. The fact that a grown
Can I
adult
interrupt you
wants
here? Can I interrupt you here? This is a very important point. Medication. I just received this article today. It's called "The Presence of Gender Dysphoria, Transsexualism, and Disorders of Sex: Differentiation in Males Prenatally Exposed to Diethyl stilbestrol." I hope it's diethyl stilbestrol. This is a chemical, and this is by Scott P. Curlin, PhD. And this is from 2004, and it was presented in New Orleans, a 6th annual e-hormone conference. And basically what this article is saying, just to summarize, that between 1940 and 1980, millions of pregnant women were given a drug called DES, and it was thought to prevent miscarriage. And DES is an extremely potent synthetic form of estrogen. And pregnant women were given 5 milligrams per day in the first trimester, increasing to massive doses as much as 125 milligrams per day by the third trimester. And for reference, just 3 milligrams is enough to chemically castrate a full-grown man. Okay? So what happened is that in a small survey of DES sons, men born to mothers who took DES during pregnancy, 77% identified as being either transgender, intersex, or gay. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, so let me lay something down with you that will help explain this, because that's a perfect point. People don't realize prescription drug commercials are promoted all the time on American television. Americans are on extreme amounts of pills with horrible side effects. And not all of those research is done after the fact on the side effects. They do a little study, you get the pills, and then how these two pills interact in your body, you become a concoction of pills. People have no idea, along with drinking and drugs and everything else that people put into their bodies. The wombs of American women are heavily polluted. And sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Because I have a heavily medicated family, and you just see the destruction of alcoholism, partying, and all these different prescription pills. And people trust these scientists a little bit too much. People forget that like eugenics and actual like bad scientists exist. People they worship the white lab coat a little bit, to the point where they don't start to suspect that they can be just regular people who clock in and make a mistake, and that certain big funded organizations don't always have your best hand at heart. And people don't understand profit and the big pharmaceutical companies and how much power they have for lobbyists in American law, where it's very hard to sue them. It's very hard to take them to court. And you don't get to see certain damages till later, when we see on the TV at night, like at 2 a.m. Have you been harmed by AstraZeneca? If you have, call 1-800-725. But it's like the commercials like at 2 a.m. And you're like, who's going to see that? But we have the prescription, and then 2 years later, there's if you've been damaged, call 1-800 something something. So it doesn't surprise me that people want to start saying, okay, the chemical imbalances in the brain leading to mental illnesses, leading to a different consciousness and schizophrenia and all these different disorders, but they want to embrace your mental illness now. They want to say you have to just accept someone's different consciousness, and that's their reality. And we don't have a lot of mental asylums anymore. We used to have a lot, but Ronald Reagan closed them. So we don't commit people to the asylum anymore, really. It's very hard to get somebody who's mentally ill into an asylum. Now the therapists, they don't correct your behavior because they say that it's evil. They kind of go along with your fantasy, and then they don't push back or try to correct you or treat you over a long period. And not everyone can even afford a mental health expert because it's so expensive in America. It's like $200 an hour, some of them. It's very expensive, and not a lot of health insurance companies cover it. So when you see a lot of these people who you would say like, "Kid, that person is going to go and teach my kid," they're really, a lot of them are mentally ill people who haven't been diagnosed and can't afford treatment. And we're taking them as like identities. We're taking them as like our people to lead us into a new utopian future where everyone is androgynous and everybody's on a commune where we all share partners and we all give our kids to the state to raise. I mean, a lot of Muslims fail to realize how global communism with an atheist, liberal, progressive agenda is on its way here. I studied Marxism. I read Karl Marx's Das Kapital. I'm around communists, and the communists of today are different than like Vladimir Putin style. These ones are more like, we're ready to be in your face and we will put you down and we will dox you. See, these gender benders, these very woke mobs that are in a group called Antifa, which I don't know if your members know who they are.
Yes,
Antifa, these
I know.
people will find where you live, they'll smash up your cars, they will get you fired from your job. They are a real force that wear black bloc. During the riots, like 2 months ago, there were 600 of them marching all in black bloc. So these people are part of that movement. And if you say, let's look at the medical science about these people, they say you can't look at the science because that's hate speech, that's like conversion therapy, that's inhumane.
Right.
They won't even let you talk about it. If I say to somebody, like, because I met a trans, there was a woman she was my friend for a while, and her daughter came out as trans. And then she told me later, "Oh, my kid needs therapy. It's so expensive for therapy." And you're like, "Why does your kid need therapy?" You know, when she was saying, her daughter is now a boy. And then you see this change in her child, and you're like, there's something going on here. They don't want to even let you criticize it. They don't even want to let you talk about it. So when they want to go to your child while you're at work and they want to teach your kid these things and you oppose it, these people will shun you, they'll label you, and you will be surrounded. So if you're in a Muslim country, be thankful it has not arrived, but you must prepare. This isn't
It has.
alarmism, this
It has
isn't
arrived.
conspiracy theories.
It has arrived
Yeah,
already.
yeah, and it's
It's
like,
arrived.
I live in the mix of it, and I'm afraid if I have a son one day, it's going to be a huge battle. All the celebrities they promote are doing drag. They're like, even Chris D'Elia, he was a comedian. I really like that guy. And then he came out and he was doing dressed as a woman and had fake boobs on, and I'm like, another one. And people say, "Oh, are you afraid of exploring your gender identity?" No, I need strong men to defend this society because we have cartels and gangs. A lot of Muslims, maybe they have a lot of peace where they live, but where we have so many gangs in California that all the strong men are all violent bad men and all the good men are soft and afraid.
Okay.
And we don't have any protectors anymore. We don't. Our cowboy culture, where it was rowdy, where a sheriff like a "Hey boy," a John Wayne, that's almost gone. They're all drunk on whiskey and fat watching football. They're not defending. They're not defending us. So we women have to be like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And they say, I don't think people realize how frail your society becomes when you depend on the internet, the electric grid, and all your men are soft. Somebody just has to do a cyber attack on your infrastructure, and then it's complete anarchy, and then who's ever strongest is going to steal everything, and everyone who's strong are all criminals. So the good women who think that their soft husband is going to be some type of Hercules in a chaotic situation, you need to wake up. You need to
Okay.
protect your son's masculinity, because it will help keep him alive in times of danger. We've never had in the history of this world a time where the very targeted, systematic thing of boys, you need to change who you are, you need to do this, and mommy has to go to work, so put your nuts in a jar, and mommy's gonna go, with her 7 boyfriends.
Okay.
People have no idea the sickness here. And people say you're just bitter and harsh. No, I came from a conservative area, came into a liberal area, became a liberal atheist, hung out with these people, and then I realized kind of how insane they are, how fanatical they are, how out of touch with reality they are, and how the reality they live in is delusional. And then you're like, this is freaking me out. I don't want to, this is insane. And then that's why I think Islam really just, by the will of Allah, woke me up, because it's
Alhamdulillah.
like, this is not normal. Men
Okay.
being this soft isn't normal. And it makes you hate them, and it
Okay.
causes more problems.
Can I interject here and ask you, um, I mean, you as a female, do you find, is there, sorry, I'm trying to word this question correctly, but you said that you don't like these soft men. Like, do women really, because there's a huge propaganda. I was looking recently, there was a post that I've just shared on my Instagram. It says, "Dear men, stop working out. Physical fitness creates a cycle of toxic masculinity that must be eradicated." Are women really not attracted and don't like strong men, or are they confused? As you said, your last point you've made, that a lot of these strong men, or I think they're kind of confusing strong men for criminals, or
Yes.
criminals are somehow highlighted that this is what a strong man looks like, and that's just what you're gonna get. The only thing you're gonna get from a strong man is abuse and a criminal behavior. What's your thought about it? Are women attracted to soft men, weak men, or do they want a strong man? And is there a difference between, like, I don't know, can we even call it toxic masculinity or criminal masculinity maybe versus real masculinity that is beneficial?
So I've spent a lot of time around male feminists, and you get to see a lot of their psychology and how smooth and
Wait, male feminists.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I got to see how they talk. It's very, because I don't know, I'm very analytical. So
Okay.
they're very smooth, and they mirror your emotions, they talk back to you, and the women like hearing their own ideas parroted back to them, and they
Okay.
feel more safe and in control. And because we lack so many good men now, and all men are seen to be kind of like animalistic, humping, mindless cavemen, they treat them like, you can have a more peaceful life by dominating them. But then these same women will watch very aggressive pornography. So there's a huge disconnect in the brain. So one minute these girls say, "Oh, my dad, he was over controlling, and I want to have a nice soft boyfriend who his hair goes to the side and he's very emotional." And they like this safety. They think that, okay, I can control this guy, I can manipulate this guy, he's not gonna hurt me. And a strong guy requires that I work out, that I be healthy. They want more. It's more work. I don't want to do that much work. So it's easier to get a male feminist because of the psychological aspect. And the male feminist is just trying to get into their pants, but he does it in a different way than the usual, "Hi, can I take you out? Your hair looks nice." The typical American way.
Right.
Like the 1950s type of American man, like, is something that's very hated in America. They don't like that style anymore, so they're trying
Like
to
like
create
like
hipster.
Clint Eastwood type of guy.
Yeah, and even the rugged cowboy, they always try to do like Brokeback Mountain. A lot of people had some complaints about that it was specifically trying to get the cowboy culture to become more San Franciscan. It was trying to, oh, cowboys can go into the mountain and lie with each other, and it's perfectly, you should do this. It's like they try to suggest even to the last remaining of our cowboy culture, and even in the African American community,
Right.
they have Lil Nas that they promote, and they're targeting, like Lil Nas did the Old Town Road for kids, and then he flipped and did a Stripping for the Devil music video. And so even in the African American community, because all my siblings are half black, except for one who's half Cuban, they see, like, even male, the black men are being targeted. And even in the black community, you do see a silencing of all black men who say they don't want to be feminine, and how they try to make all the famous black people become androgynous. And LeBron James doesn't really help because he's starting to wear some feminine thing. And again, these people sell out for money, and if you criticize them, you get labeled with all kinds of words. We're forced to accept their view, but if we defend masculinity and straight men, we're seen as evil. They really hate you. I saw posters here that says, okay, if you want to get an admission to something, it's $10. It says free for LGBTQIA people, but if you're straight, you have to pay. And I'm like, just lie and say you're gay, and just don't have to pay. But it's like they put it on, like, it's okay to do anti-straight discrimination. And if you say I'm straight, or I want a straight pride parade, or I want a straight pride flag, then no, no, no. Wait a minute, I thought it's about equality. I thought every gender identity is acceptable. No, they really trying to disrupt men and women by here's a toy, watch this, watch that. A big movement here too amongst the nerds is sex robots. So they're like, okay, your husband now has the option of going with a doll and leaving his wife, and his wife can just get a machine that has the appendage, and then there you go, you'll be happy, get back to work, go back to class. People like the Muslim community, they're spared the perversions of like what they're trying to do. And if you came here, and some people, they like it, they're like, oh, this is cool. So of course, if you ask those people, they're going to be like, seems fine to me, I don't care. But if you're like somebody who's trying to be a good Muslim, you're trying to be righteous, you want to have strength, you want to have energy, you want to have vitality, you want to do salah, you want to fast, you don't want to drink, you don't want the music, you want to do good, you want to have children, you want to have wives, to them that's like, it's too strong. They see that as dangerous, even with formal soldiers. They really they put them on lists. They really say, we care about the troops, but when the troops come back and say, what have you done to my country, what have you done here, what have you done to my son, oh well, you're just a bloodthirsty killer. And oh, I thought you said you love the troops. So we don't even take care of our own troops when they come back, so. And now they're trying to push these woke agenda into the military, and people in the military are freaking out. Like, we need strong men who are going to go into the fighting zone.
Didn't Biden just approve a policy where you can get free sex change for those soldiers who are willing to or want to or consider themselves transgender? It's part of the benefits.
Taxpayer-funded surgeries. And it's like,
so you'll have transgender soldiers or what, fighting for America?
The old thing of don't ask, don't tell. Some people can get in. You'd have to ask the local recruiters how they're dealing with the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, because they probably still have some stigmas where they want to avoid recruiting those types of people. But in San Francisco and in the Bay Area, UC Berkeley types, they are trying to get those people in, and they will make our military weaker. If you look at the commercials for China and Russia, how they do their military commercials compared to what America is doing, it's heartbreaking. And I was raised by a veteran. I was going to join the Marines before I had my daughter. My mom was going to join the Navy before she had me. But Allah made us choose a different path, alhamdulillah. But we have a very military mindset. Okay. And so
can see that, mashallah.
So it's like when we get demoralized, when we say like our men are going to be playing with each other's bum bums instead of taking out the enemy, We need, and they're like, oh, but we hate war. It's like these people say end our wars. Hey, I want to end the wars too, but we still have to have a military. And then they say, we don't like cops. And I was like, okay, well, now all our cops are like fat and out of shape. And it's like, we're going to be, if the criminals are all high on meth and super fit, and our police are fat and our soldiers are playing with their fake boobs, what are we going to do? Like, and then they say, okay, no more gun rights. We're going to take away your gun rights, which they're trying to do, the liberal atheists. So they say legalize all drugs. So wait a minute. You're going to make our military weaker. You're going to make our cops less apparent. You're going to take away our gun rights. You're going to legalize all drugs. You're going to show adult masturbation techniques and weird things to children. And this is going to be some
أعوذ بالله من
utopia.
الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله. أعوذ
Yeah,
بالله.
yeah. If people don't realize, if you look up, I forgot the name of the school, but sex education is being taught younger and younger. And
Right.
I had to take a class on human sexuality, which I was like, okay, fine, gotta take a class on human sexuality, all right. And that's in college. So they require you to take these classes in college because they're trying to conform you. And listen, the flag represents preference, okay? Preference. You can do whatever you want behind your doors as long as it's an adult and you're not touching kids. But
Right.
then you see they're like saying pedophilia is a sexual orientation. And then sometimes they include the P on the flag.
Right.
And then you're like, if you talk about it, they say you're homophobic because
Right.
pedophiles are gay. And then you're
Right.
like, oh, come on, man. You know, like they censor you. And people say, I don't see it because Silicon Valley is controlling what you see. And I mean, they control what you see. That's the whole point of what we're trying to tell you. With the attacks on masculinity are happening through means that you're not exactly preparing for because you don't understand the internet and you don't understand propaganda. And you should read more about psychology and propaganda and how it's done through media, how it's done in movies. Like, it's not a conspiracy theorist. This is intelligent. You have to know your enemy.
Right.
Warfare is knowing your enemy. And if you say, I want strong men, and you see there's like here, you see the women are very shout your abortion. They are really instilling in women to peg their men, to abort their babies, to spend their money on fashion, to allow themselves to be butchered like a turkey on Thanksgiving Day in plastic surgery.
Subhanallah.
They don't understand like the psychosis here. And I know people who haven't been around it. They're like, oh, this sounds paranoid. This sounds that. Oh, I once went to San Francisco. I didn't see it. You as a visitor aren't going to get the full dosage. It's when you have to live and work and study around these people. Then when they reveal who they are, you say like, oh, there's an agenda here. Like, you guys are doing something weird. And it's like,
Right.
these liberal women push their kids off. You know, like they make a Latino nanny raise their kids.
Right.
They cheat on their husbands with different, gigolos, they're called male gigolos, which are male prostitutes. And then their husbands who are at work all day. In San Francisco, you go on Broadway, it's all strip clubs. And I go to Richmond to buy a burrito, you see prostitution. So they want to make prostitution legal. They want to have all drugs legalized, decriminalized. They want to have the prisons less full. Like Gavin Newsom, he released 60,000 violent inmates because he said the prisons were too violent. And so the scary masculine types, like we said, the criminal types are getting released, while the men are like sit in the office, sit in the job, and the gyms are closed. The bars are open and the gyms are closed. The bars are open and the churches are closed. People like this is how they do it. And like if you say, oh, pay attention, they say, I don't have time. Let's make time. Let's make time and let's be healthy and let's eat better. There's a lot to say about like in urban communities when they talk about we don't have access to good food and our men don't have sperm counts because they got a liquor store on every corner, but you don't have sometimes fresh produce in the bodegas or it's too expensive. It's like it's easier to get alcohol and cigarettes and drugs than it is to get healthy food for some people. And even the people who are famous, they promote fast food and alcohol. And then you see pills on the TV. So people have no idea how zombified the American population is and how normal people are trying to fight against it, but we're silenced online. You know, they
Mm.
silenced us because they say, oh, you're a Trump supporter. It's like, I'm not a Trump supporter just because I support masculinity, you know? And they say, oh, all straight men are like these misogynistic Trump tards. It's like, no, no, no. They use Trump as this excuse to silence people. And you're
Right.
like, I'm a woman. It has nothing to do with Trump. And they're like,
Right.
no, no. Oh, straight men are like Trump, therefore it's bad. He said he grabbed him by the X and doesn't even wait. And it's like, hold on, you guys. Like, come on. Like, we have to protect them. And they say, like, oh, they laugh at you. These liberal atheists, they just laugh at you. And you're like,
Uh,
no, I don't want a boy learning about how he can get fake boobs at 8 years old. I'm sorry.
well,
He needs to be learning
that's
how
just
to do
crazy.
other things.
That's just
And then,
crazy.
yeah, I mean,
Sister
people
Milan,
have literally no idea. No
just because
idea.
we're running out of time, we're gonna
Okay.
continue on a second episode, inshallah. But just before we end this one, بإذن
Yeah.
ta'ala, I want to ask you, as you've seen some of my work, just really quick in a few minutes. I think you've seen some of my work.
Yeah.
There's
I
a lot
follow
of
your channel.
people. Yeah, there's a lot of people who have been saying, mostly women, and some. I think you called them feminist men. You said, or was that term you used?
Male feminist.
Male
Yes.
feminists. Okay, very good. Okay,
Yes.
that's okay. Male feminists have been basically attacking me, and just kind of saying that I hate women, I hate you know other people. I promote this toxic masculinity. I'm not going to interfere. I just want to ask you. You've seen some of my work. What do you think about some of my work? Just in a couple of minutes. Do I
Yeah.
hate women? Do I promote toxic masculinity? Whatever that means.
You know what's interesting is that when I first came across your channels, because I had a very knee-jerk reaction to the knitting video, and then I realized later, after much reflection, and after a lot of your fans and my fans, reached out, I realized I'm a little bit just being knee-jerk reaction because I like the person whom you attacked, but I'm ignoring the work that you've done, and that's not fair. That's not rational. That's like a psychosis. That's a sickness to where I'm letting my emotions and anger and my protection of somebody override the logical position that you have. So I had to be the bigger person. Right now, look at us. We're doing a show. We're doing an episode
Alhamdulillah.
together, and I had to be the bigger person and say, this is wrong what I did, and I overreacted, and I can't hate someone because they did one video that I didn't like. But
Mm,
your work is important, and I had to deprogram myself in a way because I'm so used to being on the attack,
okay.
right? As we're trained here in California to always think that the men are against us. But then
Mm,
as I started reading more about the hadith and I started learning more about Islam, I understood that a male protector, a healthy, vibrant man who wants to provide for you and has the stamina to in both intimacy and with able to fight off a criminal and who's disciplined with salah is the greatest gift to this planet. And to try to get in the way of that is wrong because I'm actually hurting what Allah has ordained for men. And so I had to take a step back as a woman and say, you don't hate women just because you say you want them to be mothers, because I didn't have a mother. And
mm,
I know that led to me getting around pimpstresses. It led to me getting in gangs, and I didn't have a father. So I had to
subhanallah.
look at my own life and say, what has my American culture of America has a lot of bastards, right? America has a
Right.
lot of children. I'm
Mm,
a bastard. All my siblings were
subhanallah.
all bastards because none of our
Subhanallah.
parents were married. It's very
Subhanallah.
normal in California. I mean, in America, you look at the marriage rates and divorce rates, people don't stay together. I mean, it's quite crazy how broken our families are, right?
Subhanallah.
And people, I said, Gabriel's trying to tell men to be men and to be healthy. We need them to be healthy. And that used to be normal in America in my grandpa's generation. That was normal. So we've only gotten it bad because of the woke communists, militant atheists, and the liberals, the progressives. They're changing what masculinity means because they spend too much time in the classroom and smelling their own farts, we say. Like we say that like you've lost the plot because you've gotten too angry. So I had, I apologize, for the way in which I judged you without knowing you. And then I went and watched your
Subhanallah.
videos, and now I send your videos to my brothers, you know? What a
Subhanallah.
huge turnaround. So
Mm,
before I was mad at you just because you attacked somebody that I liked. and I was arrogant and haughty. And then I reflected, what does Islam say? What does the Sunnah say? How was the Prophet? He was masculine. And do I choose Islam, or do I choose what some woke university PhD professors say in this time period? What is more important for my eternal soul, for the hereafter, for the health of the Ummah, for my own brothers and my future sons? And what you do, I started getting, I even got motivated by you. When you did videos like work out, push yourself, I was like, I work out a lot, but let me share a couple of clips. Let me do it. And then I just started being like, I'm going to go for an extra run. I'm a woman and I'm already athletic, and you motivated me. And I was like, we need more men like that, not just like the sports soccer player atheists, right? Or the other types. That's why I liked Khabib, because he was different than Conor McGregor, right? Conor McGregor was the typical loudmouth, drunkard, drinking whiskey, insulting, touching ladies. Khabib was a Muslim. I know he's not supposed to hit the face, but he was still composed and healthy. And he prayed, and he goes to do Hajj, Umrah, and Mecca. You know what I mean? And I was like, we need more of that, because like that's what shocked me, to realize you can be strong and be religious. Because when we look around, we see a lot of weak Christians, a lot of fat Christians, they're just not very like there. And then you feel like you can push them over. And they're not like righteously powerful and present. And then you don't want to listen to them because you're like, you're weak, man. You don't have iron there. So your work has helped me and others, and people need to give you a chance. I mean, if I can forgive you, and it's really not hard to forgive. I mean, I feel, and I even feel a little embarrassed. I was like, I overreacted because that person was dear to me. So it wasn't because what you said was wrong. It was because that person is close to me. So that's when you have to analyze your feelings and say, hold on now. You can't just throw somebody away or call them a shaitan because they want to defend the health of straight men, because that's how our species survives. And other countries are not teaching their men to be weak in the same way that America is systematically putting their men in a meat grinder. So you motivate me, and I want more people to be like you and create channels out there where we have our own Muslim community of fitness, we're strength, and we study and we help each other, and we have other things we do. But we cannot just be overweight and healthy, because that affects your psychology. And being healthy is a blessing.
Alhamdulillah.
So that's what I say. If they criticize you, give them a chance, man. It's just give them a chance. Like, just calm down, calm your brain, and make sure you're not motivated by lust. Because some people, they lust for other people, and then if you attack who they like, they hate you. And it's like, calm down, like you're a good person. Anyone can see it. They just give you a chance.
Bless you.
So I'll stand by you. I mean, I'll stand by you, and I'll subscribe like I always have, and I follow you on every platform that you're on. And I send your content to my brothers.
I didn't pay you or anything to say that, right?
No, I swear by Allah. And no, I didn't know. Because people are going to be shocked by this interview, because they're going to be, oh, she made videos against Gabriel, now she's doing a show with him. Yeah, it's called realizing that you were haughty, realizing that it wasn't that big of a deal to hate somebody over, and you cannot just throw away someone because of one video, man. And your work speaks for itself. And it's needed. So, alhamdulillah.
May Allah bless you, Sister Milahan. It was an honor to talk to you today. And I just want to tell our viewers that the next episode will be focusing on feminism, and we're going to be talking about polygyny. So people need to turn in, inshallah, because that's going to be a huge one. Again, I'm not talking to you before it. I want to know exactly what are your opinions as a sister, as a revert on feminism and polygyny. That's coming up next episode, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum, everyone, for watching and tuning in today. Jazakallah khair, Sister Milahan, again, and I'll see you on the next episode, inshallah.
All right, sounds good, Gabriel.
wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum.